Call the meeting to order. Roll call this, Commissioner Erickson and dispute that. Okay, approval of the agenda. Approve the agenda. Anybody else have anything? Not, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Both, that carried. Public comment. Thank you.
I have not, sir.
That getting up.
Oh, don't worry. We're not here to cause problems for once.
Yeah.
Okay, agenda.
To approve the consent agenda.
Thanks. Gather it. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Yes. That carried. Report. Hopefully all that time we should basically add.
If I may, sir, I would like to add some to the general manager's report. It's in consent agenda and you guys just approved it, but I did want to give you an update on the pay estimate number 1 for the galvanized service line. Again, this doesn't change anything, but I just to let you know what's going on. The Public Facilities Authority, who is responsible for dispersing the branch for that project, has not provided us yet with the agreement and the project order form in order to file for reimbursement. I've been trying to communicate with them quite a bit this morning still. They say that they're working on it. We should get that shortly. So when they said when they get the paperwork to us, we'll turn around right away. They'll be able to process reimbursement very quickly. But we are going to go ahead and pay on estimate number 1 for DW's work for about $350,000. They did a great job for us. We were very happy with them. So there's going to be a little bit of a difference between when we pay DW versus when we get the reimbursement. We knew that was going to happen anyway, just because of the timing is. It's unfortunate that PFA hasn't gotten us the paperwork yet. But both Paul Sandy at WSB and myself have been asking repeatedly for it. All the money was allocated for us and everything. It's just a matter of getting the paperwork in. PFA has mentioned that they have a bit of a backlog with all sorts of grants. Fortunately, this is why we got ahead of this thing so that we can get our stuff done. I think all the future projects coming are going to experience similar, if not longer delays. So, but I just, again, wanted to make sure the commission was aware that there's going to be a difference between the payment on this pay voucher versus the reimbursement from PFA.
Well, agenda, just grab my screen doesn't scroll. Probably me. That's what I'm talking about. Working slow. Sorry, thank you. Okay, proceed with the regular agenda. Item B, the Plain mixed use residential development.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll start off with this. In your packets for memorandum 24-27, you'll see, again, the summary and background regarding the utility extension financial analysis that Jen and the city have completed. With that project, they would be putting in an 8-inch water main on the north side. We think it's of interest to the utility and for future development to upsize that to a 12-inch. The engineer's probable estimate of that is $431,000. In order to cover those costs over the long term, the proposal is to create another growth region. We're still working on some numbers for that, so what we're looking for is an up to amount established at $1,500 per acre for the new trunk area. In the packet, you'll see a map of the water mains in question, both along First and that northerly loop, as well as a map of the area that would fall under the trunk area should those properties ever annex into the city. In addition, the development is looking at establishing a dead end for service. The engineer's review of that, and Jed, if I say anything wrong, is that everything would be fine with that dead end.
Yes.
However, the commission did pass a resolution back in 2006 prohibiting the use of any dead ends. Not really sure where that came from or what parameters were intended around that. It's written in a very absolute way. Staff is recommending, staff agrees with the engineer that dead ends can be a valuable tool and can be used properly in infrastructure design. So staff are recommending the repeal of that resolution 06-03 and in its place adopt resolution 2407, which provides staff the ability to work with the engineers and the developers on site specific requirements that meet our specification guidelines and service rules, rather than trying to do everything through commission resolution. We think that would give us the most flexibility to be able to handle development as it comes up. So that's really the gist of the memo. As you can see, city staff and Jen are here. Should you have any questions regarding it, and we're looking for direction from the commission.
And I have one clarification I'd like to make on that cost is the developer is what we're recommending and requesting of the developers that they would be responsible to get at a minimum an 8-inch or at a max an 8-inch service or an 8-inch line to their development. The upsize between an 8 to a 12-inch is the cost that would be shared amongst all the parcels with the additional trunk charge for that area. That's what the up to $1,500 is. So that $431,000, that's what's getting distributed out into the new trunk charge. The actual cost to get the water main there it's about $799,000, but it's just that difference between an 8 to a 12 is what the $431,000 is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Well, for me, if it does, I commend you guys for, because I know we still talked a little earlier. One concern I have is city policy has been, history manual been new development pays for itself. So we have to structure any new development. So somehow or another, whether it takes 10 years or whatever, nobody in the city existing resident paid for any new development. And I'm a strong believer in that. I'm going to support it till long time or long, but and I think this addresses that very nicely. And I appreciate that. Now the 8-inch, I mean, just the standard 8-inch. So the developer is basically picking up all of that cost and that's kind of plus too. Well, yeah, but still everybody else would benefit from something.
Yeah, so to your point of developer pays for the cost to get the utility to them, they essentially are. They're paying to get that 8-inch to them. It's the oversizing to service a larger area is what, yeah, so, yeah.
But everybody gets benefit from the whole thing at some point.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with it, don't get me wrong, I'm not questioning it.
Yeah, I think we made a nice, I think we've made some really nice segue to put, to find the, to define the area of who benefits from this. While also I know that this property in particular to develop, there's not a lot of developable land on it just because of the airport, and the requirements with the fly zone.
Yeah.
Don't put this in the meeting minutes, what I call it, yeah. You know, it's a very difficult property to develop. It's very expensive to develop this property because they cannot build out the max homes on it to get that return back. So it was a nice partnership, I think, that we've had with them to get to this point and try and maximize as much out of the developer to fund their portion of it, and what we found was more than fair, and then the other remaining properties that benefit would also pay their share of it also.
And I think to not go with the bigger line would be irresponsible, I think, on our part, because we know at some point there's gonna be more development on this,
Yeah.
so. Yeah, everything, Paul?
No, I think it's a good plan. So you crapshoot how long it's gonna take to develop it.
If I would like to add one thing. This is the result of a lot of meetings and back and forth between utility staff and city staff, and I just really want to thank them for that dialogue. I think we really kind of worked through a lot of issues, and I appreciate the effort, and I think we came up with something that's really solid.
Yeah, I would, again, I commend you guys, all of this, had been a lot of hard work, for sure. The other component here was the change in this policy. And nobody here can probably answer why it was ever adopted in the first place, none of us here have been, not the old board here. Can I ask kind of a hypothetical for
Yeah.
the North Common, we talked about the water issue up there. That be because of that dead end up there.
That is looped in there technically, it's looped through the development in a couple spots, so it did meet that does meet the looping requirements. Yeah, I think kind of that only dead ends we have are some older stuff, or.
No, I mean, I'm familiar with that because of where they got a plan that they're complaining about.
Is it water quality that they're complaining about? Yeah.
Right on the corner.
And that one is it's on like that house, that's the one I'm thinking of, there's like 3 houses on a kind of little stub of main there. And they are kind of in one of the furthest corners of our service territory.
Yeah.
So there's.
I will just add a little bit to this, that the PUC, I talked with Keith just last week on this about, because this dead end situation has brought up those questions about, okay, when do we do it, when do we not? And the reason that we're recommending doing it the way as written in the resolution is that sometimes it makes sense and sometimes it doesn't. We want to make sure that we're using engineering judgment and not putting in infrastructure, adding infrastructure to the PUC that needs to be maintained and replaced at some point in time if it's not needed. So I think that that being said, we also did talk about areas in town where there are water quality issues, possible pressure issues, and starting to take a closer look at those so that we can plan in a CIP, in a capital improvement plan to say, okay, let's keep an eye on these locations when we know development comes in. These are our weaker points. I don't want to say weak points in the system, but they're areas of concern that we know require more maintenance, more flushing, more complaints. And we know that if they're flagged in a map and in a plan, then we know when development comes in nearby, these are opportunities that we can use that development to create more redundancy in the system, or an extension, or a upsizing of some sort, or something like that.
You know, I'm told the myself for all of
Right, and I think the reason that policy was put in place is, I know at one time, some of the fire hydrants didn't have the flow that was needed.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they did it. I think most of them have been taken care of since, so.
The other thing to add to that is, you recall the commission a couple of years ago authorized us to do a comp study on the water service infrastructure, which WSP did. So we now have water modeling for our system, which allows us to do the proper engineering on developments as they come in. So again, we've got a lot of information that we're basing these decisions off of that we, perhaps didn't have back then.
when I first heard this, music just my first, just came at the breakfast table in Irvington Saturday morning, a couple of months ago. Dirty water, I said. I've lived in Princeton my whole, well, in town about 20 years. First place I've ever heard about dirty water. So it kind of struck me by surprise. Then I got very gracefully handed to me. And then I'll tell you what, I explained it to them, oh, whatever it's. But thank you. I don't have anything else.
No, I don't either, so I'm gonna make the motion to repeal resolution 06-03 and adopt resolution 24-08.
Second. Further discussion, hearing none, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign, say carry. So do we need some more motions? there?
Yeah, I do have two motions listed there, so, we've got the one regarding the resolutions taken care of, but if there is language in the memo right at the end for a suggested motion to approve the upsizing of the northerly water main serving the West Plains residential development and establishing a new trunk fee. So
So we can do them two at once.
well, you just did the resolution one.
Right, yeah.
So if we could do a second motion for the upsizing and the trunk fee.
Is that what I'm?
Yeah.
So moved.
Okay. I'll second. Any more discussion, input? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oh, that carries. Thank you. We'll go on to front water tower.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Chair, I'll take this one as well. We are moving forward with the reconditioning effort next year of the North Water Tower. We're requesting authorization to advertise for bids for that project next year. And as part of that, we do need some direction from the commission as to what you folks want that water tower to look like. There are really three options available to the commission. One is to just keep a basic color. This is on the north end, kind of in a more secluded area, so it's not seen by a lot of folks. We could restore it to what it looks like now and just put on some basic block lettering that would cost an additional estimated cost of about $3,000 to $5,000. Or if you want to do something really, really fancy, we could put like a logo on as an example for another $15,000 to $20,000. So everything else is in place from an engineering perspective. We're just looking for some input as to what you want to look like, and if it's a solid color, what color do you want? In addition, you'll see in the memo that I do go through a cash flow, very rough cash flow impact of this project. There was a question that was raised by the commission of whether we should pay for cash or bond on this project. As you can see, we have some major capital projects being proposed over the next couple of years. Did a projected balance, which brings us real close to what the established fiscal policy minimums are for the utility. So if we paid in cash, we would obviously go under those current limits. And that would have to be addressed by the commission at a later point. You can also see that when you're comparing the costs of the different projects, the water tower project is the most expensive one. I usually take the perspective when you're bonding, it's better to bond for a big project than a little one, and spread those bonding costs over a larger principal. So staff's recommendation is to move forward with bonding. I don't think you need to make that decision right now. I just wanted to provide that information to you. Really, all we're looking for, and I do have a language in there for a suggested motion for the commission, is to approve a resolution allowing us to advertise for bids and giving us which painting option you would like. One being a solid color, two being block letters, or three being a logo. With that, I'm available, and Scott's going to answer any questions.
So we just want to ask them, getting the bid out for.
Correct.
Well, I concur with your opening statement. That's the least visible of all water towers. It just happened that I had lunch today with a former commissioner, so I ran it by him and he agreed that, just keep it simple. Probably all on the same page there. I think we should stay with the light blue, so it's that match.
So similar to the other water towers.
Yeah.
Color. Okay.
And maybe if the lettering wouldn't have to be quite as big, maybe if that makes a difference, but I don't want that to matter.
It really doesn't.
I do their option number one. Do we gotta be specific, stay with the same color?
No, I think if you just say option one,
Okay.
with a blue. I think from there, Scott and I can take care of
Uh,
it. We will go with like,
Light blue, kind of like the same as
Right.
the. light
I would
blue,
think they should
kind of What that one is when it was fresh.
yeah. Yeah,
So I'll make that motion then to go with option number one.
Second,
Any more input, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
right?
Aye. Opposed, that carried. Okay. ETA modifications proposal.
yes, Mr. Chair, I'll, take this one as well. As the commission may recall, SIMPA started implementing an ECA, about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half ago. The commission, chose at that time to just do a complete pass-through of that ECA. And actually established established the process for it at that point. So I'm looking at this as I'm talking. As we've experienced how that ECA has been playing out, you can see, there's a table in the memo for 2023 as well as 2024, year to date from when the memo was published. Again, this was presented last month, so it's been a topic of conversation. You can see how the numbers have fluctuated, as well as kind of the year-to-date cumulative total of that. As staff have looked at it and really had a, working under the philosophy that we want to try to minimize any rate volatility to our customers, staff, we're looking at a couple of different options and are offering 3 recommendations on dealing with the ECA. The first of those recommendations is to restructure the ECA to leverage the rate stabilization fund, which is part of the reason why we have a rate stave account, to protect customers from that wholesale price volatility, and not pass through the ECA. In order to do that, the current balance of the rate stabilization fund is set at approximately 1.3 million. Given that the ECA can fluctuate up and down, and the current, like I said, the current balance is at 1.3 with a cap of 1.5 million. It may be prudent to increase that limit to 1.75 million, depending upon how that ECA fluctuates over the next couple of years. And so that would require an update to the fiscal policy. And then the third recommendation is, SIMPA has indicated that it's possible that members may be receiving a cash distribution in 2025 due to the reimbursement of certain transmission credits on the wholesale market that would get distributed back out to the membership. In the event that that happens, staff is recommending that those funds get allocated to either the cash reserves or our CIF to be used in phase 3 of our electric cap plan. So that was a memo from last month. And I guess I'm here to answer any questions folks might have. But the reason we're proposing this is just to make things a little bit easier for our customers and leverage the rate stabilization account that we have in place to weather those month-to-month variations that we're seeing in the wholesale market.
Okay, that's, then both of it are customer-related stabilization of the rate. That's what our objective is here. Doesn't correct it, understand, right? It's a little deep on this one. How you go about doing it, and that's why we have people like you here.
Yeah. The nice thing too is, because of the commission's actions, we do have an ECA in our rate schedule. So as we follow this, SIMPA budgets the ECA to net out to 0 each year, which is again why staff is proposing this. I don't know that we really want to be charging a little bit extra just to in the first half of the year, just to give it back in the second half of the year as an example. Because we have the rate stabilization account, we can just kind of carry that for a few months. As you can see, we are tracking it. If for some reason the ECA ends up being a credit ongoing and starts to result in a cost, The commission, under the policy, can establish their own ECA rate until balances get back in place to to ensure that we meet our fiscal policies as well. So we're not abolishing the ECA, we're just going to set it to 0. If the rate stabilization account drops too low, we can implement an ECA charge, and vice versa. If the if the rate stabilization account ends up getting too large, the reverse of that would be true, which is the commission could authorize a credit on a per kilowatt hour basis for customers for a period of time. It does help us manage that balance, gives us flexibility to manage that balance in real time a little bit better. But like I said, really what the intention is to try to remove some of that month-to-month variability that we're seeing because of the wholesale market.
Pretty hard to argue that, I guess. No, you get that all? So, what, you want one motion?
Yes, you could just make one motion to adopt the recommendations in memo 24-24, and I think that would cover it. And again, this would be effective January 1st.
I'll make a motion to adopt the ideas in memorandum 2424.
And I'll second it. Is there any other input or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That carries. Thank you, Keith. Okay, 2025 fee schedule.
Yes, Mr. Chair, memorandum 24-29 is the fee schedule, the proposed fee schedule for 2025. This was presented to the commission last month. The only the recommendation we got from commission was to highlight the changes, which you will see in the memo. The only other change that we did recommend is the removal of the private fire hydrant maintenance fee. The reason we're recommending removal of that is we don't have any on the system. We would prefer to not have any on the system. And so by having it there would kind of put us in a position that if somebody asked, we would provide it. We would just assume eliminate that. And if a situation comes up, that's a very unique circumstance, then we can come back to the commission at that time to make sure that the system is secure enough to be able to handle that. We can make sure we have our process down. Other than that, again, we're here to answer any questions you might have. Normally the proposed schedule is stuff is introduced in October. We can talk about it. The commission can discuss in November and approve in December. However, if you're fine with it, you can approve it this month as well, and staff can get working on updating all 2025 documents and be ready for the January 1st date.
Make a motion to approve the 2025 fee schedule.
Okay, I'll second it, but I do have with comments more than anything, but. It kept, new service hookups went from 650 to 800, and I'm sure it's justified. I wasn't reading that. I want to make sure it was just for new service. This is a fee for new service. New power service, whatever.
Correct, up to a 200 amp service, so that's your residential, your new residential construction, right?
This felt good every time I guess. And I think you kind of explained this other question I had. The water, the fire hydrant thing.
Yep.
I think you already explained it. Okay, any more discussion? Being all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That carries. And goal 2025 rates.
Yes, Mr. Chair, similar to the fee schedule, this was presented to the commission last month, memorandum 24-30. Did update the background information table for year to date through October, just so you have the most recent information. As you can see, actually, everything is trending better than planned, which is always reassuring. So based off of the most recent data, did some minor tweaks to the 2025 budget projections, so those are in your tables, as well as a summary of the major projects, the capital investments that we would be looking at for next year. The only change in the budget is under major projects, we did remove the insurance policy for unit number 7. We've been in discussions with Caterpillar. Right now, we had a warranty extension on that. Last time we did it, it was for a 5-year extension. Caterpillar typically does their generator warranties for 20 years, and then they'll do a 5-year extension, which is what we had done 5 years ago. In conversations with them, they are not interested in extending that warranty for another 5 years. They said if we wanted to, they would be willing to do it for 2 years at a cost of about $26,000. However, if we were to do a warranty extension, there are maintenance requirements that they would make us do, which includes a full oil change, which was an approximate cost of about $10,000, another $2,000 in other miscellaneous maintenance activities, most of which, from staff's opinion, are not necessary. We did an oil change. I can't remember when the last one was. We haven't had a lot of hours since the last one.
We're still way under on the recommended hour interval for it. When they take the warranty over, they want to start afresh, kind of as much as they can.
So when staff looked at it and looked at the 26,000 for the warranty plus another 12,000 for the necessary maintenance, which then also locks us into an inability for staff to work on it. I mean, when you're under warranty, you have to have Caterpillar come up and do everything. So it does kind of limit our ability to address some of the issues that we think are important as well. And like I mentioned, this unit is now 25 years old. If you kind of think of your car, I don't know. There's no generator shield out there, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So we might, we have such a great power plant crew, just so mechanically inclined, so, really care about what they're doing. If anything should happen, I fully trust them to be able to take care of it. And I bet you they get it done quicker and cheaper than having to call in for warranty service and schedule something out in a couple of weeks. Whereas if we could just let our guys loose, I think we have it taken care of. So we know that we can't continue the warranty forever. And I guess the way Scott and I talked about it, we're kind of inclined to just rip the Band-Aid off and just let the current warranty expire, and then we'll just take care of it like we do with the other engines. So that was the only change in the budget. Again, we're here to answer any questions you might have. You don't have to make a decision today, but if everything matches with your expectations, if we got approval today, it would give us that much more time to update all of our internal records and get everything set up for next year. But it's the commission's prerogative.
Yes, I don't have any questions, I guess. Yeah, the only reservation I might have would be being one short. Could we all be here to do that? Or?
I did have a conversation with Dan yesterday where we talked through the agenda. He mentioned that if the commission is comfortable with moving forward, he's comfortable with moving forward on the budget, the fees, and the rates. I did talk through it, just so that he felt comfortable with staff's proposals, and that was the direction he gave me. Or that's what he asked me to communicate to you guys.
Yeah. It's been regret, I think, concern. I know you want that concern, but it's very hard.
Motion to approve the 2025 budget.
Okay, second. Any further discussion or input? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. On to the 2025 rates.
Yes, Mr. Chair, this is really part 3 of our planning for 2025. Based off of the budget that we've been looking at and looking at the rate structure, the staff came up with 2 different rate options for the commission to consider. I think it's important to note that under the rate checkup that the commission had directed staff to complete last year with EGR, there was a recommendation to move forward with a 1% rate increase each year from 2024 to 2028. So this commission could continue on that path and just approve an across the board rate increase of 1%. Staff did want to provide an alternative option to the commission. As was pointed out earlier, everything is trending better than planned right now. And that's for a multitude of reasons. It may be time to do more of a rate cost reallocation, which would be to do a 1% rate increase on the residential side, which would help cover the cap plan, phase 1 of the cap plan that has been underway. That has primarily served the residential side by undergrounding a lot of individual services, mostly north and east of town. So that 1% would help cover those infrastructure improvements. On the commercial side, we would be looking at a potential decrease of anywhere between keeping a constant to 2.4% decrease. And that's because of, again, there's been a lot of factors with some internal efficiency improvements as well as increased revenues from investment, the investment strategy that was changed a couple of years ago. All combined, that strategy would result in an overall rate revenue reduction of about 0.37% in 2025 for our customers. However, as I mentioned earlier, we are looking at a potential SIPA cash distribution, which if that would happen, would actually result in a little bit of a revenue increase for the utilities. I did provide a table for the commission for each rate class, comparing current rates versus a 1% across the board rate increase and a rate cost reallocation proposal. On the water side, the water department continues to operate from a strong financial position. With that department paying off significant debt, we feel we're positioned well for the large near-term capital expenses that we covered earlier under the existing rate structure. So we are not proposing at this time to modify the water rates. On one of the large projects that was in the budget that the commission has reviewed, we'll remind folks, is the allocating some funds to do a water rate study, possibly in conjunction with the city. And that will give us some input for long-term, both in terms of our volumetric rates as well as potentially like our WAC fees and things like that. But just really making sure that we look out long-term for the water department, just like we did a rate study on the electric department a couple of years ago. But at this time, I really didn't see anything where it was necessary for us to do a rate change now. But perhaps, take a step back and take a more holistic view towards it. So staff is requesting direction from the commission. Again, one of the things you'll notice in the packets that I started doing is providing you with some suggested motion language. This is just to help you guys know how to phrase this stuff, and really it's to help Kathy, so when she does her meeting minutes, we know what the motions were. So we do, we're looking for some direction on 2025 rates, and with that, I'm able to answer any questions you might have.
Well, it's concerning the water component here, and we also have the PFAS hanging out there, and there's nothing we can do about that. There's no way we can project, or it's gonna be what it's gonna be. Yeah, I mean, Personally, I think I like the direction you're going with the option two, I guess.
I'm okay with option two also.
I'll make that motion then, memo 24-31 to no approval. Wants to read all that?
No, I think if you just, the suggested motion language says, approve 2025 rates as detailed in option 2. It's more than enough.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further input, questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Right?
Aye, opposed, that motion carries. Vacation, just. They take it down to the airport.
You said it.
Mr. I'll just start off real quick and just say, this is a proposal that has come up through staff. And with that, I'll hand it off to Scott and Jeremy and let them, describe the proposal to you.
Because we're just looking at moving a reset date from January 1 to March 1, with just a kind of you guys kind of made our plan for the nice stuff was to, the two with water. Get it on the holidays and then guys kind of use up extra time that haven't used it through the summer because we've been busy. This year it's kind of maybe compounded a little bit with the schedule we had. It's been a crazy summer for us, so just to kind of give everybody a little more chance to use the time more freely after things slow down and everybody gets a breath and then to help work a little bit around the holiday season where the guys that didn't use as much time are able to not hog the whole holiday week. And we can split it up and not everybody's kind of jammed in there, so.
And I will share from my perspective. Staff have been fantastic. Scott is absolutely right. It's been a heck of a year. They've been very busy and not once did any of them say, I'm not coming in, because I need to use up my vacation. With DW's work, with Castor John's work on the electric side, they were here when the contractors needed them to be here, and that I think speaks volumes to their commitment. And so I'm supportive of the proposal.
Yeah, and I guess I would concur with that. I guess the transition out of that. But
Really, all that happened is rather than doing the reset on January 1st, we would just do it on March 1st.
so that no month is established and it goes from there on.
Correct. So then every March 1st, we would reset it to the cap of 120 hours. Yeah.
So you're basically extending it from January 1st to March 1st.
Correct.
And this first initial action.
Yeah, correct.
Basically.
Correct.
Yeah. I have no other questions.
Nope. I'll make a motion to update the employee handbook to the specification carrying over policy to March 1st of each year.
I'll second it. What, please? Hearing none, all those say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay, scholarship.
I'll just start real quick. Memo 24-33, SIMPA is looking at relaunching, or I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. SIMPA is looking at starting a scholarship program for its membership. So we want to provide the commission with some information on that. I've been talking with Chrissy as well. Chrissy, if you want to kind of talk through where we're at and kind of the stuff that we're looking for.
Yep.
Correction.
So I think part of it is that we don't want to just have staff dictate and go through the entire process, but would like more of a group effort to contribute to the who's, what's, when's, how's on getting that scholarship money into the right hands. So I guess what we're looking for is to find out if there's a commissioner that would like to join a work group to develop and kind of nurture this scholarship process. And essentially guide the entire process, what type of scholarship do we want to present? Who do we want to present it to? What are the requirements that we'd like to have? But to just work through that entire process of setting everything up.
So, SIMPA has been very clear that they want to do this, but they also understand that each member might have certain local conditions they might want to place on it. So they are giving a lot of latitude to the local member to determine how it should be structured, who should be eligible, what are you looking for verification? It's really a blank slate at this point. SIMPA is very interested in providing $1,000 scholarship to in each community every year going forward. But it would be the onus of administering that program would be on the local commission. So that's where there is, I think there is a need for a discussion as to how do you want it to look? And how should that process follow through? And, you know, in terms of community engagement, how do you want to handle all of that? It's, I really see it as a much more strategic discussion that needs to happen, given SIMPA's flexibility in what they're giving their members.
Now, that's pretty commendable, I think, them, and I'm probably the one that could be doing it. I have a fair amount of experience with the awards, graduation awards, the region that they scholarship program, which I've been very hands-on involved with in the last 4 years now. I guess I'll volunteer to be the person that however we. That's the direction I'm probably gonna go, and I know I'm deciding hearing right here now. Be through the high school and do a scholarship. Their award banquet. No, he scheduled the whole thing full of people giving out money. And it's $1,000.
Well, and I do want to point out too that MMUA is also restructuring their scholarship program for next spring. So it's entirely possible that there will be 2 scholarships that we will want to administer. So again, thinking more strategically about how we want to do this, I think it's worth taking some time. And to a certain extent, this is why we're looking for some involvement by the commission is this something we want to open it up and get community feedback from others as well, not just the utility.
Yeah, and I'm not why I didn't say that has to be a high school type, if we could, maybe it's just for employee, I don't know, I mean, there's many options I'm sure out there. But I do have some experience with that part, but I don't know what you want.
We don't know.
From one of us, Dan's not here.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, I guess I would be interested, say, Paul, do you have any initial thoughts?
I mean, it's an idea. Yeah, I can, Jack wants to do it, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but in the memo, you know, I mentioned a few different things that the commission would probably want to consider. You know, do they have to be customers, or is it open to anybody who goes to Thurston High School? Is it for just seniors? Is it just for a 4-year college? How do you want to handle tech school or licenses or?
Well, yes, so, and I think right off the bat, it's, you gotta think tech school too. Either or, and I think more towards vocational than tech school actually itself, because that's who's gonna be more involved.
And many of them during that, I get a little specific. Ours, the Legion, no, the big ours. A little more open, we don't actually, the school district, yeah, the panel, I guess, I'll say that. Fix the recipients and whatever the giver wanna put in for conditions, whatever. We generally speaking allow them to kind of do the heavy lifting.
And again, that's just my opinion too, but I think it should be customer related.
And that could be part of it.
I just think it
That could
should,
definitely be
because it shows we're giving back to the customer.
But, you know, the whole community for the school district, the whole
I
area.
understand.
But no, it do be, Becky Cartwright is my contact over there, but yeah, we could structure them anyway. And we don't even have to go that, we could do a scholarship, I mean, we could do it in-house, we got both there. I mean, to just our employees or,
But limit the scholarship to,
well, the award, the scholarship, I mean.
you know, again,
I don't recommend that, but
yeah, Simba's leaving that open. I think it would be prudent with whatever we come up with to share with Simba, just in case there's, in case there's anything in there that, we don't anticipate a conflict with. I can't imagine what that would be, but, I think right now we just need to just kind of get a couple of people in a room, sit down and just kind of start talking through what it might look like.
So we're gonna have, inviting the commissioner be one or two of the staff or the department head, whatever.
Yeah,
So what, okay,
yeah, I don't think you need to do anything. You've volunteered.
it's not, it's start this year.
It would be starting, it would be for the spring.
So if we're gonna do a scholarship to the graduating class, we would have plenty of time to get.
Correct.
Pamphlets.
Correct, that's not.
And I can, get old Becky easily and, she can give the whole list of what, all the structure things and whatever. So we can make our decisions.
So, well, I think what would make sense is, Jack, for you to come in, kind of talk with staff, kind of start putting some bones to this. Then come back to the commission next month and say, okay, here's kind of the direction we're going, here's what we're thinking, get input from Paul and Dan. And then based off of that, then really start putting some flesh to the bones and kind of building this up over the next few months. Because there's gonna be, there's lots of questions, or I should say, there's lots of options. You can go this in several different directions.
It should go the route of doing a graduating thing, their position, the staff over there that puts all this together, they're very flexible too. I mean, they have a lot of this example, the Legion one, we've been at, $500 ones. We're going to $3,000 ones, but we're keeping our budget basically the same. I mean, it's just many things you can change. Yeah, different requirements here, should we make it specific to different things? You know, they know the students better than we do, of course. So, but again, we have to hash all that out.
Yes.
All right, well, I meant, I guess, that's all we need of that, or?
Yes.
So, yeah, whenever I can get more and more flexible, so we're stepping up at times that maybe after the holiday, maybe even, I don't know, about you, whatever you want, whoever's gonna be the contact person in all series.
Yeah, we'll set up some dates.
No, I see nothing else.
Move to adjourn.
Second.